Hello YouTube, this is Total War Seraphim bringing you the 11th game of the FIB. That's the Faction Inheritance Battle. Tonight I am glad to be bringing you again two great players, two players which have appeared on this show before. We have Yawning Firefly, now aka Jaw, playing as Carthage, taking on Chikifco. I'm never gonna be able to say it, buddy. Chikifco, Chikifco. I'll go with Chikifco. Playing as Macedon. So let's jump right into that game, huh?
Understood. Orders understood.
All right. Well, this recording was sent in by Yawning Firefly. So we got a mercenary Sutari, mercenary Celtic warrior for the right flank, African pikemen, 2, 3, 4 African pikemen making up the center, mercenary Samnites, mercenary Sutari, and mercenary Celtic warriors with late Libyans for cav support, I presume, and late Libyans on the left flank as well. We have three mercenary Cretan archers in the center, and for the cav contingent we have a Carthaginian cav, mercenary Sutari, a mercenary Sutari making up the left flank, a Carthaginian cav, and a mercenary Sutari making up the right flank. For Chikifco, we have a militia hoplite, a Thurio spear, a royal peltist general, a levy pikeman, 2, 3, 4, and 5 levy pikemen making up the center, with a royal peltist and a Thurio spear making up the right flank. We have 2 standard archers, 2 standard and 1 mercenary Cretan in the center, a Thessalian on the left flank, Aspis companion, and 2 Thessalians on the left flank. We have 2 Thessalians making up the right flank. All right. Well, this battle is about it's roughly 18 minutes long, and you'd expect this with this matchup. As far as Carthage and Macedon go, they both brought very heavy pike centers, but Macedon has opted. Chikifco has opted for the levy pikemen to hold down his center, while Yawning Firefly or Jaw has opted for African pikes, which are I presume substantially better as a pike unit. So both players pause here in the beginning and take a look at each other's units, and so it's going to be Chikifco who begins to move his army towards Yawning Fireflies. I love taking a look at these units, especially these Aspis. You never get to see them. I love this armor on the horses and the large shields. Presumably they have a pretty good block chance if that's the size of their shield. So the Royal Peltis out here on the side, with the Royal Peltis out on the left flank and the Royal Peltis on the right flank. I like that. It seems to me that a lot of these tournament builds have their money in the flanks. Their center is more of a holding force, while the flank contingent really demonstrates the vast majority of their money that they spend on the army. I am slowly learning this. I presume that if you can wrap up one flank, you can move towards the center and presumably roll up the line, as it were. So Yawning Firefly is adjusting his line here a bit. The pikes, again, again, I'm pretty dubious about pikes, but as far as a holding force goes in the center, in order for the archers to skirmish, that seems like a great idea. And in this engagement, Jaw seems to have, in my opinion, a better better skirmisher contingent, as opposed to the standard archers and the 1 Cretan archer of Chikifco. So here we go. The skirmish engagement has begun, and already Jaws is targeting the mercenary Cretans, being the first target, while Chikifco is targeting the African pikemen here up front. And that first volley off from the Cretans didn't seem to land very well. He continues to fire. I'm not sure if it's a misclick or if he was indeed going after the archers. But all the while, Jaw's archers, now going into rapid reload, I presume, are getting substantial fire done to this mercenary Cretan. As you can see, both of these units targeting it. It's already down 30 men, roughly. Chikifco does now move up the other archer and starts to target the other archers, the mercenary Cretans of Jaw. Out here on the right flank of Jaw, we already have the contingent beginning. The Thessalians and the Royal Peltis get charged and are taking that engagement. The Thessalians again come in against the mercenary Scutari, which is going to be followed up by the mercenary Scutari infantry rush. The Aspis are content to sit out here on the flank, which I find interesting. They're not really willing to get into the engagement yet. The late Libyans are being brought in here against the Royal Peltis. I'm sure you would have, well, perhaps against the Thessalians. I'm sure you would have preferred to get them into the Aspis, but he hasn't had an opportunity here. The Thessalians start to waver, as do the mercenary Scutari. The militia hoplites out here again, waiting to engage. I like this from Chikifco. He's picking and choosing. The two pikes do their derpy pikiness, and so it's anyone's guess how that one's going to go. The pikes are pushing forward on both sides in order to get the skirmishers into better range. Across here we have the mercenary, the late Libyans also beginning to lose that fight substantially to the Royal Peltis. The militia hoplites are brought in here in a kind of side charge, a right flank charge against the mercenary Scutari. The Carthaginians are being pulled away from this flank for Yaw. The Aspis are now being wheeled around. They seem to have dominance. If they get a rear charge, that flank will probably crumble fairly quickly. The pikes are in a holding position while the archers retarget. These archers turn their backs to the pikes and take fire from what I presume are standard archers. Yes. So out here on the left flank, the charges have engaged, and again, it looks to me that Chikifco is fairly successful on this flank, as the pikemen of Macedon, of Chikifco's, are holding it down at the very least. The Royal Peltis again in here, more or less dominating this fight, though the Aspis hasn't been wheeled in here for a rear charge. That is unfortunate. Perhaps he's scared of the archers that can do substantial damage, as well as to the Thessalians. Pikes again here, getting a few pokes in, and the Levy pikemen are definitely taking the worst brunt of that, but primarily being used as a defensive force. We get a charge here into the Royal Peltis, which will be very good, provided that the Royal Peltis did not charge them. The Levy pikemen out here, again, forming these strange formations, but at least they're holding up the units for the moment. Jaw seems to be taking this flank quite efficiently, though he still has to deal with that Royal Peltis. He does get a nice substantial rear charge into these Therio spears, and that should go fairly well for him very quickly. Again, the standard archers out here doing what damage they can, targeting the mercenary Cretans. They've almost gotten rid of an entire unit. The pikes being charged by the Thessalians and supported by another pike unit. Looks like the Carthaginian or the Scutari is breaking to the Royal Peltis and the Thessalians. The right flank has clearly gone to Chikifco, Jaw's right flank, but Jaw does seem to be winning the left flank, though substantially slower. The mercenary Cretans are being pulled out here to the center, presumed to get better shots. I love this surround move with the pikes. I'm a total pike noob, and I cannot get them to work for me. Even if you paid me money, I couldn't get them to work for me. But both players seem to be very comfortable using these pikes, and it certainly shows. Jaw is forming a defensive position here, a pike formation, if you will. He hasn't closed it off, so it's entirely within the rules, and is able to fire on this Levy pikeman, routing it almost instantly. The Royal Peltis out here with 29 men left, a general, so he needs to be substantially careful. Chikifco must be, that he doesn't get shot with the archers, with the mercenary Cretans of Jaws. The pikes again trying their best to form these defensive formations in order to give the Royal Peltis time to crush out this victory. But now we have the cavalry incoming from Jaw. Though Chikifco does have this Aspis companion, he does bring it in for a charge against the pikes. Might want to get out of that. Oh no! Looks like the late Carthaginians are going to get into him, and now the mercenary Cretans open up on the Aspis companion and do a substantial amount of damage. Though they did just get another chevron, so he's going to bring him out here past the archers in order to get a nice rear charge, and that is going to be absolutely devastating to both units. Mercenary Scutari already breaking Presume it won't be long before the other one breaks as well. Mercenary Samnites being brought in here to attack the pikes while they're in this odd formation, and it looks like that the left flank is finally fallen to jaw, while the right flank has been pulled away into a defensive formation. Chikifco is again being targeted by those mercenary Cretans who are being used very, very cautiously, and I can appreciate that. The Aspis Companion again bringing a nice rear charge into these mercenary Samnites. A little tough to kill. I think they've been nerfed a little bit. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think they were. I played with them a little bit. The Levy Pikemen are going to take some frontal shots by the archers, and Chikifco is keeping his general well away from the melee. Unfortunately, the Thessalian is brought into a frontal charge against the African pikes, and as such, it's pretty much going to get destroyed. Just from that mismanagement. I'm sure it was a misclick or just an oversight. The Aspis being pulled out here outside of the range of the mercenary Cretans. Very intelligent. Again, I also know that the range has been tweaked a bit, and that has caught me off guard quite a bit. So now the pikes of Chikifco are attempting to come up with a battle strategy here. It looks like both players are content to kind of retreat to their corners and rest up their units for what I assume is going to be the final engagement. So Yaw pushes here, I think, hoping to get a push, but again, these pikes can make that hazardous if your pike formation goes into a derpy mode. You never know how that's going to go if they run sideways into pikes. So the Aspis being wheeled around the corner here, but again offering shots to these mercenary Cretans, which are more than happy to expend their ammunition on such a prime target, a target that can be used in late game to really devastating effect. Chikifco seems to be offering his levy pikes as a target, but Yaw wisely ignores them and goes for the Aspis Companion. The Royal Peltis General is being brought in here, in my opinion, very dangerously close to those archers, especially if he isn't watching whether or not they have ammo. But he pulls away his units now, and as Jaw starts to form a defensive position, he leaves it open. The left side and the right side are fairly open, but it is a way in order to rest his units, and both players do allow this. So I'm going to fast forward here until we get some movement, and well, it wasn't too long at all. So now Jaw is pushing backwards using his right flank pikes as a defensive formation while he attempts to push these African pikemen to take on the Levy pikes. The Levy pikes, as we've seen, are not remotely capable of standing up to these African pikemen. So this levy goes into a thicker formation in an attempt to get more kills, but as we see pike on pike action, they just kind of stop, kind of prodding at each other. This Aspis Companion is being pulled away again. I think it's attempting to act as bait as these other units are brought in. Looks like he's pushing this militia hoplite pretty hard into the archers, and that is a fair target, considering they probably still have ammo left, and that would be very detrimental to the general. So the mercenary Satari of Jaw are being pulled out here to go after the militia hoplite. I presume that would be a pretty quick fight for the most mercenary Satari. But the Stardi do not want to engage the Royal Peltis General either, nor if that Aspis Companion comes over to help, which it seems to be doing. But again, it has to be careful of those. So Jaw attempts to pull his pikes farther back. A few get caught on this Levy pikeman. And the Levy pikes are able to do a little damage. Both these players are intricate. They're absolutely intricate with their pike formations, and I really do appreciate it. It's interesting because I rarely see them used well, and I haven't even begun to explore pike formations and pike defensive lines. It is very interesting. So now the Levy pikemen are now getting into it with the African pikemen, but they are being absolutely slaughtered. So Chikifco opts to pull them away. I think that's a wise move, but it doesn't offer much as far as an offensive position goes. So again, we have the mercenary Shatari out here. I don't think they want to take the hit from the militia hoplite. Speaking of jaw, but looks like the Royal Peltis got a few throws in against Shatari. This other Royal Peltis is hanging out here. It doesn't exactly want to engage, but it's not a bad option. Looks like these archers are going to get. Looks like we get one more volley. Oh, well, he brings in a Shatari charge against the Militia Hoplite and the Royal Peltis. The Royal Peltis won't like that charge at all, but here come the Aspis, and if there were a time to turn this around, it would be here. The Aspis are just going to come in here and crush whatever they can. The Royal Peltis General has gotten into it, and the other Aspis, the Aspis, now gets countercharged by the Sutari, which in prolonged combat, I presume that the Aspis should win. The General of Yaw now pops Raise Banner and Rally, but opts to stay out of the fight. I found that very interesting. He doesn't want to get into it, mix it up with the Aspis. A loss of the General might be enough to lower the morale of the pikes. Certainly for Macedon it is. These mercenary Cretans seem to be out of ammunition, are being brought in here just for their relatively small charge. The Royal Peltis here holding out at 19 men. Out here, the levy pikes are unable to find a way in past these African pikemen, and the General of Jaw is contented. Oh, I love this. He sneaks one. Chikifco sneaks one through and just lowers his pikes, but is immediately countercharged by Jaw's General. Great move by both players. Great sneaky little column formation by Chikifco, and a great counter by Jaw. I appreciated that. So it looks like Jaw's trying to wheel his pikes in here in order to get some support. If he can get them against the Aspis, they'd probably do very well. The Royal Peltis and the Aspis are starting to break, but now stabilize. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe because Jaw pulled his cavalry out of that fight. Maybe he's looking to get another charge in there. These levy pikemen do sneak through, and if they can support that fight, you never know. Basically, whoever can get their pikes in here, might be able to pull an advantage. Sutari and the Aspis are wavering, but now the pikes are getting some damage in there, and oh yes, so levy pikes again forming an odd line, but doing what damage they can. The Sutari run in there and are summarily destroyed by running into the frontal pikes. This Royal Peltis runs past. I'm sure it was given a move order, but now is attacking the Sutari. And I doubt that the Scutari will last entirely too long in there. It's interesting here because it seems like Chikifco might have a chance here. He didn't appear to, and he lost his general and the Aspis, but none chance here. Levy pikes being pulled in here, but oh yes, see, this is what I was talking about, the pike formations. I love it. So this pike gets absolutely sandwiched by the levy pike by the African pikemen, who get into the back of it and really do some damage while it's well held from the front. Pike sandwich, I like it. I wonder if there's a term for that. If there's not, I'm going with pike sandwich. Royal Peltis out here beasting it out as they do with 35 men left, but it is overwhelmed by odds, and the loss of the general as well as general army losses have got to be weighing pretty heavily on it. The levy pikeman out here slowly making its way towards this African pikeman, which continues to hold in a static formation. That levy pike routed with 65 men left in it. These pikes, again, as they're brought in against the African pikemen, just don't have what it takes. They can't stand up to them. Again, the Royal Peltis here holding out against two mercenary Cretans. Not often you see mercenary Cretans in battle with Royal Peltis, and the Royal Peltis starting to waver. It says in melee unit winning decisively, wavering army losses, but it is in red morale, presumably because of the general and most of the losses. He has used the whip and shield wall on the Royal Peltis. I have a hard time believing it's going to lose to two mercenary Cretans, but stranger things have happened. Oh no, the mercenary Cretans break. And the Royal Peltis is still doing its beastly job. So now the cavalry is being brought in to finally quell this rowdy Royal Peltis, which actually stabilizes after killing the last of them. So here it gets and they're jumping for joy just as they get charged. Oh, terrible time to celebrate your minor victory and your loss of the war. the general being brought in here to finally end this fight. So great game to both players. Let's take a look at the units. So for Jaw, we've got 47 on the general, 73-3 on that one, 121 on the Scutari, 105 on that Scutari, 46, 90, 90 for the mercenary Cretans, pikemen 147. That's a lot of kills. 83 for the late Libyans, 35, 73, 86, 185. 78. So Royal Peltis, 210 kills, 260 kills, workhorses. Thurio Spears getting a fair amount of kills. The Levy Pikes, not terribly well, not terribly bad. Some of them 63, 293 for the Aspis. The Thessalians getting pretty low kills, as well as the Archers getting low kills. I just want to say thank you very much to both Chikifco and Jaw for submitting this game. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a great example of how pikes can be used to in advantageous situations. So I really did appreciate it. I want to thank both players for playing in the FIB, and I want to let everyone know that the FIB will be going ahead. We have started. It's April 1st, and the new bracket and the finals are out. So stay tuned to catch the rest of the faction inheritance battle. This is Total War Seraphim signing off. Be well.